Hello, this is the Captain Paxo, back with week 9 of the weekly hunt. This was going to be, like, Gold Crown, that's the word. It initially was going to be, like, Gold Crown Farming Edition, but, well, just yesterday, the new Elder Dragon was announced, which is very exciting, very exciting. But in the meantime, this is the Mega Man crossover quest with the teeny tiny cute little Dodo Garon. Look at him, he's so teeny tiny. Oh my god, he's getting absolutely railed. God. It was such a nice touch that they actually added the music in. That was one thing that I really liked about the Ryu quest. It's a shame that it doesn't really play much of the actual music. That would be nice to, like, have the option to when you have the Palico. It's like, ooh, do you want to like have the Mega Man music, or do you want to have the regular music? And I'd be like, Mega Man, Mega Man, Mega Man. It's because it's good music. I mean, I never played Mega Man, but I mean, I can recognize good music when I hear it, right? Well, most of the time anyway. Damn. But yeah, the newest monster was announced yesterday, last night for me, and he's he looks really interesting. He's like a cross between a giant royal Ludroth, or Jagras, if you don't know what a Ludroth is, and like a ram. He's got like these giant golden ram horns. He's like the golden fleece in Greek mythology. I'm not sure which story it is. I think is it Odysseus? I can't remember. Not even going to pretend to know my Greek mythology. I don't. Not anymore, anyway. But, yeah, that was a hell of a surprise, because he's coming out on the 19th, which for me is tomorrow. Well, for me he comes out on the 19th. 1 AM to be precise. Whereas, people who are Pacific time get it at like 5 PM. But I'm super excited for this monster, because it's another monster. It's another Elder Dragon, not just another monster. It's another Elder Dragon, but on top of that, they're adding like a new game mode. Well, I guess it would be a game mode. It's a quest type, I suppose, would be the appropriate name for it. It's called like Siege or something. Or Besiege. It's basically like the quest type where you have to try and repel Zora Magdaros, or at least that's what it is to my understanding. So it'd be super cool to see how that plays out with the new monster and the new arena and all that sort of good stuff. But for me, I'm more or less interested in the rewards than anything else, because the rewards are, to my understanding, pseudo-random weapons, or random weapons with random stats. And I know Monster Hunter has done this in the past with like relic weapons or whatever. I have no idea how well it was handled in that game, but considering that they've done it before, and I haven't really heard anyone complaining about it, I can only assume that it's going to be pretty good in this game. It's not going to be a bad thing, because my biggest concern is it's going to turn into like the Riven mods from Warframe. If you've never played Warframe, Riven mods are extremely powerful mods, which are essentially augments that can give you some insane attributes. However, the amount of RNG that's involved in getting a good Riven mod is just insane. If you want an augment in Monster Hunter, for example, you can just fight a Tempered Elder Dragon, and then you have a decent chance at getting a Sullied Streamstone. When you get a Sullied Streamstone, you then have to roll again for the type of Streamstone, of which there are 14 types. There's like sword, blade, axe, lance, hammer, shaft, and ranged. Yeah, that's 7. So So there's those 7, and then there's one of those each with a warrior's version, and one of those each with a hero's version, right? So to get the one that you want, it can be a bit of a pain, but at the same time, it's not too bad. Like, it could be worse. It could be Warframe. Whereas in that, in order to get the Riven mod that you want, you first of all have to roll for the Riven mod itself, which is a pretty low chance, but you then have to roll for the type of Riven mod that you get, which there are 4 types: primary, secondary, melee, and shotgun. Once you've got those, you then get like a randomized, what would you call it? Bounty, objective, quest, requirement, challenge. You get like a randomized challenge to unlock it and make it an actual mod that you can use. And some of the challenges are not too bad, some of them are a little bit worse. That's not really the stinger. The stinger then is that you then randomize the actual weapon that the Riven mod's for. So let's say that you get a shotgun Riven, right? When you unlock it, you have absolutely no control over whether it's going to be for something like the Boar, or the Dragoon, or the, I want to say Tigrex, but it's not the Tigrex, it's the something or other, I can't remember right now. But it could be for any one of, like, 10 or so different shotguns, right? So you've already rolled for the chance to get the Riven, the chance to get the shotgun Riven, but now you have to roll for the exact shotgun that you want. It's like, that's very, very frustrating. And on top of that, you only actually get you only get 1 chance a day to get a Riven mod, right? So it's not like you can just farm the same mission over and over and over. It's a daily quest that you have to do, of which that's randomized as well. It's a set of 3 quests which are randomized, and they can, depending on the missions that you get, like if it's like something like really simple, like an exterminate, a rescue, and like a sabotage, you can get it done in like 10-15 minutes. But if it's something like a survival, a defense, and a mobile defense, then it's probably going to take like an hour and 40 minutes. And you just have no control over that, right? But then once you have the Riven, you've got it for the weapon type that you want, you've got it for the exact weapon that you want, it then has randomized stats. And these stats could be anything. They could be incredible, or they could be awful. Like, there are Riven mods out there that will turn your damage to 0. Like, it's like negative 100% damage, which obviously means that it makes you do 0 damage. It's like, are you kidding me? How much RNG do you want in these things? Granted, they can make these weapons insanely powerful by giving them like increased damage, increased chance to double hit, like increased crit chance or crit damage or something like that. That would be considered a god roll. But at the same time, you also have a chance to never get that god roll. You have a significant chance to just get trash that you're never going to use. It's a real pain in the ass. And you can re-roll the stats, but that requires another currency. And every time you re-roll the stats, it again has a completely randomized chance of giving you the stats. So again, you could get something amazing or terrible. There's no control over it. But like I said, it increases the cost every time you re-roll. So every time you re-roll, you then have to farm that currency more just to re-roll it again. Thankfully, you can like keep the previous stats if you decide that the new stats are god-awful, which has happened to me. I have a Riven for a weapon called the Karok, and on my second reroll of it, I got like plus fire damage and plus damage to Grenadier, which is a faction, right? So that would essentially, in Monster Hunter, that would essentially be like increased fire damage and I don't know, increased damage to fanged wyverns or something like that, right? The problem is, I have currently re-rolled that Riven mod 11 times, and I haven't gotten anything that's better than that. Because, sure, okay, the heat damage is nice, and the damage to grenade is nice, it can absolutely destroy that one faction, but it's not particularly useful against any other faction. So I'd like to get something that's a bit more universally useful, but just thanks to the way that the Riven mods work and how re-rolling works, I haven't been able to get that after 11 re-rolls. Which is really frustrating. And then you contrast that with, say, another Riven mod that I got for a weapon called Blanca, which is a pretty darn good weapon to begin with. But the Riven mod I got, when I re-rolled it once, I got increased damage, increased critical damage, and increased chance to multi-shot, or double hit. I got the god roll on my second chance. Yet, with my Carrack, I've rolled it 11 times, and I've still just got trash. So my big concern is that a similar kind of thing is going to happen with the weapons in Monster Hunter World with Kulve Taroth, which I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's such a weird name to just read that I can only assume that I'm reading it correctly. Anyway, it's just very frustrating to get something that has a lot of random elements to it, only to get something that is basically worthless. You know? Especially when you've put a lot of work into getting it, you know. It gets very frustrating after a while. What I'd like to see happen is that, like, the weapons aren't, like, completely random like they are in Warframe, but sort of have, like, a range. Like, if it has high damage, maybe it has lower affinity or lower sharpness or something like that. So that you can't have a weapon that has god-awful attack, god-awful sharpness, and god-awful affinity. You know, because that would suck. You know? As I perform a wake-up on the Arena Dodo Gamma. I have to say, I actually enjoy doing arena quests when I'm playing with someone else. If I'm doing them solo, they suck ass. But if I play them with someone else, it clicks. It's fun. It's like the loadouts are designed with multiplayer in mind, because it's like some loadouts don't have traps, others have plenty of traps. Some don't have flash pods, some have plenty of flash pods. Some have like the little throwing knives that you can have, some don't, you know. It's like you have to combine two different loadouts to make for an effective strategy, and when one person can kind of distract or control the monster, then it gives the other person a chance to sharpen or reload or something like that, you know. It's like, I finally get it, I finally understand why the arena quests are actually fun. It's the multiplayer, it's the co-op. So, if you're having a problem with the arena quests, I'd recommend trying to do them in multiplayer. What I did is I literally just created an online session myself, and I posted the quest preference as arena quests and the message as looking for partners, and then someone joined in like 2 minutes, and we did like a bunch of arena quests together. It was good fun. But back onto like the randomized weapon tangent. Like I said, I don't want to put in a ton of work to get something that is basically worthless. You know, every time I do this Kulze Taroth quest, I want to get something of some worth, even if it's not like the strongest weapon in the game. I want to be able to use it in a different way to any other weapon I might get in this quest. You know? Ah, yeah. Ooh, this arena quest is a bit nasty. Especially doing it solo. I know I did the last quest with someone else, but this one I ended up doing solo because it was a different play session, and I remembered why I hate doing arena quests solo. It's because they're just a pain in the ass. But anyway. I know there's a lot of players who only use like 1 or 2 weapons, so if they get something like a greatsword and they only use a longsword, then that greatsword's worthless right out of the bat. It doesn't matter if it's like the best greatsword in the game or the worst greatsword in the game, they're not going to use it either way. But for someone who uses every single weapon in the game, I want to get stuff that are actually useful. I'm not too fussed about the idea of, like, maybe I'll get a weapon that is okay and has some interesting stats, but then I get a direct upgrade of it. So let's say, for example, I get something that's essentially the Divine Slasher, but then next I get something that's essentially the Divine Slasher, but it has more attack than the last one that I got. So I go, oh, well, why use this one? They've got exactly the same stats apart from this one's better. Let's just use that. I don't mind that so much. It kind of feels like I'm progressing in a sense, and I feel like that's what's going to happen. I don't want to look at a weapon and be like, why on planet Earth would I ever use this? It's got terrible damage, terrible sharpness, terrible affinity. It's got like 400 elemental damage. It's like, when am I ever going to use this? Especially if it's like a fire weapon, because there's so many goddamn fire monsters in this game, and so few things that are actually weak to fire. It's like, you're not going to often use that. Although saying that, Volhazak is 3 weak to fire, and so is Kirin, I believe. So there's 2 really good monsters right there that are weak to fire. So it's still worth using, but it's like, I don't know. All I'm saying is, please don't give me crap. I just hope that it's handled well. I'm sure that it will, because like I said, they have done this kind of thing before, and I haven't heard any complaints about it, and since they've done it before, then here's hoping that they'll do a better job of it this time around. So maybe it should be okay this time around. You know? But arena quests. Like I said, I finally managed to get all of the arena quests done, which meant that I got like some fancy earrings that have not great stats. It's like one of them's got Elder Seal, but I've got a Elder Seal boost. I've got a decoration of that, so I don't really need the earrings when I can put on something infinitely more useful. In my opinion, anyway. I just don't see myself using it all that often. I don't see myself using the Elder Seal boost all that particularly often, unless I haven't got anything better. You know? But I also managed to get the 50 Arena Quest trophy, which I was very surprised it did not take me that long. I just killed that Black Diablos with like the weakest little poke against its horn. Oh dear. But just because I got the trophy doesn't mean I'm anywhere close to being done with the arena quests. I managed to build the Divine Slasher, although I haven't managed to fully upgrade it. I still need, like, I think it's like 2 flying coins and 2 Ace Hunter coins and like 2 Baroth coins. So, yeah. It could be a bit of a pain in the ass, depending on if I decide to do this solo or multiplayer. Yeah. But for the most part during this week, I did a lot of arena quest. Not arena quest, I just said that. God, I can't get that out of my head. It's not arena quest. Gold crown farming. So I was just doing those gold crown event quests, namely for the Ancient Forest, because I was trying to get some Rathalos parts, and actually I needed some Pukey parts as well, which I still need some Pukey parts, wings to be specific. And of course, Jagras, need Jagras materials, because once again, ran out of those somehow. And Anjanath Fangs, you're always in need of Anjanath Fangs. So this was pretty much all I did throughout this week, was just a few arena quests and a bunch of the Deep Green Blues quest. Because my god, do I need those gold crowns. Speaking of which, I managed to get the like the 10 giant gold crowns and the 10 miniature gold crown quests. So now I'm actually only 3 trophies away from platinum. I'm the Million Zenny trophy, all the gold crowns, and all the giant all the gold crowns, which encompasses miniature and giant, 2 separate trophies, and then it's platinum. Would you look at that? And there was me thinking that the Arena Quest trophy was going to be the last one that I got. Oh well. We'll get that Million Zenny at some point. In the near future? Probably not. It's gonna take some, how should I put it? Mental training, discipline is probably a better word. Just hold off on upgrading random tat and just save, you know. The problem is there's so many weapons that I really want to make, and so many pieces of armor as well. But, you know, I gotta save up that Zenny at some point. Not sure when I'll do that, because every week there seems to be something new happening. There seems to be another, like, new crazy thing that comes out. Like, last week it was the, well, the week before last, the Spring Blossom Festival started, and then there's all of those events that I gotta get stuff for, and you know I'm gonna be doing those fuck me, I did it again, the Gold Crown quests. Get it in your head. Gold Crown quests. Nice, nice attack there. Tried to do the jump attack with the dual blades, where you leap off of a ledge and then you just spin down the spine of the monster, and I'm not doing a particularly good job of it. Tobi-Kadachi is actually fairly long, all things considered, but I'm just bad at it. Also, he likes to keep his side to you, and I'm about to get paralyzed by the yellow boy. Oh god, that's not good. Yeah, basically there's been a lot of distractions in this game before I can go farm for the Million Zenny, which is a good thing, you know. It keeps me occupied, keeps me doing different things, trying different stuff out, all that sort of good stuff. But at the same time, I really like, I need to get that Million Zenny trophy out of the way, otherwise I'm just never gonna get it. That was a little fancy right there. Oh my god, I'm giving this poor Tobi-Kadachi a hell of a lot of punishment. Good god. He's trying to climb the tree and I'm just knocking him down over and over and over. He ain't getting away from me. And how did I knock him down again? Good god. This is crazy. And he's dead. Oh my god. That was pretty fantastic. I kind of just stood there like, what have I done? What did I just do? That was amazing. Because I actually, yeah, these are the Devil Joe dual blades. Because I had enough materials to make one Devil Joe weapon. So I decided, fuck it, I'll make the dual blades. And boy am I glad that I made the dual blades. I initially thought that these weapons were just like really scrubby and super basic weapons, but as with everything in every weapon in Monster Hunter, when you actually put some time into them and maybe you watch a Gaijin Hunter video on it or something like that, you actually discover like, holy shit, there's actually a shit ton about these weapons. There's so much about these weapons that I've just completely missed. Like, there's the ability to kind of like do a fade step with the triangle attacks, which I'm really bad at doing, but at some point I'll master it. It's pretty cool to be able to do that, and there's a cool trick that you can do where even if you run out of stamina, you can kind of chain attacks together, as long as you're keeping the chain going. Even if you run completely out of stamina, you can stay in demon mode, which is just like, that's crazy, just being able to keep this infinite combo going. Oh, I've run out of stamina. Oh, I can still keep attacking. I don't care. I can still stay in demon mode. Who needs a mega demon or what's it called? Dash juice. Who needs dash juice when you have this cool little trick up your sleeve where you can just keep chaining these attacks together, even though you've completely run out of stamina, although it does leave you very vulnerable to being attacked, because of course you can't get out of the way. Can't get out of the way if you've got no stamina. But either way, it's a very powerful technique if you're able to keep on a monster and just not let up. Though if you get hit, it will completely knock you out of it. It's very satisfying, actually. I didn't think that dual blades would be for me, because when I used them, I would focus way too much on trying to do the demon dance. It's like the good old charge blade. I focus way too much on doing this one incredibly powerful combo, and I don't focus much on using the weapon as an actual weapon. I focus on using the weapon as like a tool, just to try and do as much damage as possible, and I don't really have much fun with it. But then once I actually put some time into it and I practice it, and oh. So that was a capture quest, which I failed tremendously. But as I was saying, yeah, as I put practice into certain weapons, they just become so much more fun. And I have to say, like, you should really try and put some time into all of the weapons, because they're all so incredible. You might think like one weapon's boring because of this, that, and the other, but chances are you haven't quite found the full potential of that weapon. You know? If you're like, the sword and shield is a fantastic example. A lot of people find the sword and shield to be like, what? It's so basic. There's really not much cool stuff that you can do with it. It's a beginner weapon, right? But then someone who actually knows what they're doing with a sword and shield can just kind of destroy a monster, KO it, cut off its tail, mount it, just unrelentingly keep up damage against a monster and be able to put a ton of status down and ton of elemental damage and just be able to keep on them really, really easily, even though it's a weapon that does not have good defensive options like the lance or the longsword. Oh, here's a cool little trick that I learned with the greatsword. When you're sliding down a ramp, you can hold the triangle button to actually like charge up your leaping attack. You don't just have to press it. There is something very loud going through my village right now. 1 second. Right, well now that's hopefully gone. It was like some sort of street cleaner or something. I don't quite know what it's doing in my village. It's middle of nowhere, and they're like, oh yes, anyway. What was I talking about? Charging the greatsword's sliding attack, where you slide down the hill and you hold down triangle. It's one of those things where it's like, I didn't really think about it or know about it for a really long time until this specific hunt, and it really does increase the damage that you do. So definitely worth doing. I should definitely put some time into the training area, just to try and like figure out what weapons jump attacks do what and how best to use them and all that. And I need to actually test out some of the lance attacks, because there are some lance attacks where you can go into the counter thrust, and there are some lance attacks where you can't go into the counter thrust, but you can do like the shield dash immediately after. But then there's vice versa. There are some attacks where you can't go into the shield dash, or the guard dash, sorry, but there are some attacks where you can go into the counter thrust, and it's just trying to figure out which ones are which, and then which ones I should just like hold the block on, you know, because as much as I have used a shit ton of the lance, there's still quite a lot that I don't really know too much about it. I still feel pretty inexperienced about it. Well, not really inexperienced, but I feel like I've gotten to the point now where I'm trying to learn like the more advanced stuff. I'm starting to get to that point where I'm like, okay, let's learn everything that there is to learn about this weapon, because there's a lot of neat little tricks that you can do. It's all in the defense. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but the flashiness of the lance, none of it is in the offense. It is offensively, it is an incredibly boring weapon, but defensively, oh my god, does it have options. So many options, and you can chain different stuff with defensive options to then chain into offensive options, and you just stick to the monster like glue. But it's all about learning what you can and can't do after certain attacks, after certain motions, certain actions. You know, what can you do, what can't you do, all of that sort of good stuff. So I definitely need to go into the training area and figure that sort of stuff out in a safe environment where I'm not getting beaten up by a monster and going, I just did a cool thing, how did I do that? And never being able to replicate it, you know? This is the Xeno'jiiva switch axe. It is a very powerful switch axe. I think I talked about it in the previous episode. Look at those damage numbers. Oh my god. I'm pretty sure Puki is only like 1 or 2 weak to what's it called? To dragon. And it's already dead. This weapon is actually incredible. I kind of pushed off the Xeno'jiiva weapons because I was like, kind of low base damage. You need to have handicraft, and with certain weapons, it's kind of like, I'd rather not have to focus on handicraft. But it's like, they have, what, 15% base affinity, which is pretty darn good. They have decent dragon damage, low Elder Seal, which I don't really care about. But then they have 2 level 3 decoration slots. I think that's the thing that everybody can universally go, yes, that is incredible. 2 level 3 decoration slots. That is insane. You know? If you're using the bow, then you can put on like 2 coating jewels. Like, hey, I want para coating and poison coating, for example. Hey, look at this. The Xeno'jiiva weapon lets me do that. And also gives me like the 15% crit and the dragon damage and whatever, you know. But yeah, I wrote off the Xeno'jiiva weapons for quite some time. This game is just fantastic. Like, seriously, you should absolutely experiment with all kinds of different weapons, different upgrade trees, because at some point you're going to discover something that initially you look at and you think, nah, it can't be that good, but then you use it and you're like, oh my god, I never should have doubted this weapon. Like, wow, these weapons are insane. They do so much damage. But then I haven't used the Nergigante switch axe or the Devil Joe one. Oh, look at this. I'm only hitting for 4 because I'm actually hitting Tobi Kadachi in the butt and not the tail. I latch on now and I do it and you can see massive difference in the damage. Good god. So that's something to keep in mind, is that sometimes you won't be hitting the right spot with the mounting finishes. What was I saying? Xeno'jiiva in comparison to Devil Joe and Nergigante. I haven't used those weapons, so I have no idea how they compare to the Xeno'jiiva switch axe. I think the Devil Joe switch axe has power files. I'm confusing it with the Charge Blade, where the Charge Blade has elemental. But, yeah, I need to do a lot of Devil Joe farming. It's one of the monsters that I haven't fought nearly enough of. But then, I can say the same about pretty much anything. It's like, oh, I need, like, Teostra stuff. I want to make the Teostra set. I want to make the Rathalos set, but I'm missing some Rathalos rubies. I'm still farming Rathalos rubies from last week. In the week that it's been since I started farming Rathalos rubies to now, I have gotten a grand total of 2 Rathalos rubies. Granted, I'm not farming for them in the most efficient style, but still, I've only gotten 2. So I have now fully upgraded my Rathalos Lance, which looks badass, by the way. Like, my god. Just the way that you kind of hold it, and like the guard kind of covers your arm. It's kind of like it doubles as a shield. It's not really just a hand guard like with some of the other lances. It's a proper like arm shield. It looks so cool. But yeah, I got the Rathalos Lance, but I still need 2 more for the Crimson chest piece and the Azure headpiece. But aside from that, you know, there's always going to be stuff that I need to farm. Like Jagras, I still need more Jagras claws. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thunk it, right? It's just one of those crazy things where it's like, you wouldn't think that you need materials from the literal first monster that you fight, but I do, you know? I would say don't underestimate the Wild Swing. It is incredibly powerful. I'd say just don't underestimate Switch X's in general. Don't underestimate this, don't underestimate that. Nag, nag, nag. Wah, wah. My name's Captain Paxo. It just goes to show, though, you should really experiment with stuff, especially the stuff that you don't have high regards of. Like, if you think that a certain weapon or a certain upgrade is maybe not so good, then maybe try to make it viable. Maybe just try it out, and you might be pleasantly surprised by its effectiveness. And you might discover some insane new combo that, while might not be meta, is still incredibly powerful and incredibly satisfying to use. You know? Can I get the plunge? Nah, way too far away. But there's a conveniently placed rock there. Hiya! Oh, the conveniency of convenience. Whoever put that rock there, I'd thank you very much for that. Oh, God. But considering, or talking about the Rathalos Lance, I've started using it against Volhazak, because that was the real reason why I wanted to get that Lance, was to use it against Volhazak, because I need Volhazak stuff, I need Volhazak gems, and I just want a good way of farming him, and at the moment, I don't have a consistent way of being able to defeat him in under 15 minutes, right? So I thought, let's make a Lance that deals fire damage, to, you know, exploit that elemental weakness and just try and do as much damage as physically possible. But I'm not too sure what setup I want to do when it comes to using the Rathalos Lance. I've currently got 2 setups, or 2 mainline strategies that I don't really have the armor pieces and decorations to be able to do both for. I've got one set where I focus on just dealing as much elemental damage as possible with elemental crit and have really high affinity. That's really powerful. But then I have another set which is more focused on still a little bit of elemental damage, but more focused on getting that white sharpness. with the Rathalos Lance. So with my elemental crit build, I've only got like 2 handicraft to max out the blue sharpness, but not go into white. And then of course the white sharpness one, I'm just maxed out that handicraft. Got 5 handicraft and just trying to deal as much damage as possible. I'm really not too sure which one is more potent. I've only managed to do 1 hunt with either of those setups. With the handicraft one, I managed to kill Volhazak, Tempered Volhazak, in about 12 minutes, which is really impressive for me. Normally when I fight Volhazak, it takes about 20-25 minutes, because I'm bad. But then when I tried the elemental crit one, I played really badly, and the Tempered Volhazak was not cooperating whatsoever, and I ended up taking nearly not quite 15 minutes, it was more like 14 minutes, still under 15 minutes. It's still perfectly viable to do those 15-minute hunts, but I don't have comparable hunts to be able to tell you which one is more effective, because of course with the white sharpness you get a massive damage boost to both your physical and elemental damage, but then if you focus on the elemental crits, then you can do more elemental damage, which Volhazak is 3 weak to fire. It hurts him, especially if you max out the elemental damage, right? So I'm just not too sure which one to go for. I'm leaning towards the white sharpness over the elemental crit, but at the same time, it's like the lance is a good weapon to go for an affinity build just because of how frequently it hits. It's also very good for going for a elemental or status build just because of how frequently it hits. Put the two together, you'd think that doing an elemental crit build would be just the way to go, you know? But it's very hard to tell. I'll have to test it a lot more rigorously in the days to come to be able to definitively say, like, oh yeah, this one is definitely better, or this one is definitely worse, you know? But until that time, I am going to be fighting a lot of kulve taroth. I'm still not too sure how that's meant to be pronounced. Kulze, as in cool, kulze, cool. English was never my strong suit. Neither was anything else, to be honest. As we chase down this Anjanath, I didn't actually play too much of Monster Hunter this week. I actually played some Dark Souls 1 on my PC because I was fiending for Dark Souls. I'm really excited for the remaster, mostly because it's just going to be a populated multiplayer on PS4. Because it's like, on PC you have Dark Souls 1 Prepare to Die edition, and then on the Xbox One it has backwards compatibility, so you can just, you know, play the original Dark Souls 1. But the PS4 is the PS4 and the Switch are the only two current consoles that don't have Dark Souls 1. And considering Dark Souls 1 is my favorite Souls game, well, I'm very excited to get to doing multiplayer on that game. Like, really excited. Like I said, I did end up playing quite a bit of Dark Souls 1 on my PC. I also played a little bit of Divinity Original Sin 2. Basically what I'm saying is I didn't play Monster Hunter as much as I have been. But then, of course, you know, New Elder Dragon releases tomorrow, so I'm like, well, I'm gonna be back playing a lot more Monster Hunter again, which is, it's gonna be good. It's like every time that I want to try and like back away from Monster Hunter, something new and crazy happens, and I'm like, I gotta play some Monster Hunter, I gotta get back into this game, and I gotta keep going, I gotta keep hunting these monsters, I gotta get these awesome pieces of gear and all that sort of good stuff, you know? Needless to say, I'm very excited for kulve taroth as well. I'm just excited for things in general, for video games. Don't know if you've noticed, but I am a gamer through and through. It's my #1 hobby. I pretty much don't do anything else. Like watching stuff on Netflix it's alright, you know. And well, I'm not really a film person. I'm not really a Netflix person. I'm not that creative outside of making videos. I'd like to be a bit more creative, like do a bit of writing or drawing or something like that, but I'll always come back to video games. That's just who I am. We're trying to get the tail, but the sword form is just way too short. That's when you use the axe form. That's when you use the triangle circle attack on the axe form, because it's very powerful. Just in its reach. Like, power doesn't come from dealing the most damage. I think that's something that a lot of people kind of miss in Monster Hunter, is like power doesn't come from dealing as much damage as possible. It comes from having a good moveset that is very versatile, as I muck up my shortcuts right there. Which is just one of the things that I really like about the Switch Axe, is it has both. It has a ton of damage and it has a very versatile moveset, you know? Every weapon plays differently. Every different weapon has a different niche that different people are going to enjoy and others are not. And by the nature of that, there are going to be some weapons that barely anybody is going to use, like the hunting horn, but then there are going to be weapons that everybody can get behind, like the longsword, you know? Oh, get out of there. Almost got stepped on. I've kind of learned another new cool little trick with the Switch Axe. If you want to build up your file quickly, you should use the circle attack in sword form, because it does like the double hit. It does the really quick double hit, and it seems to charge sword form a lot quicker than just attacking regularly. I'm not too sure if you should just do like the first 2 circles and then a triangle, or like do like the double circle combo and then triangle. One thing I know for certain though is, like, if you just try and mash circle in sword form, you'll do the first double hit, you'll do the second double hit, and then your character will just sit there like a twat for a couple seconds. So don't do that. Ooh, big damage incoming. Good God, dude. That's what you get when you combine weakness exploit with maximum might with this weapon. It's insane. How did that hit me? Questionable hitboxes galore. But alas, this is pretty much the end of the quest now. We've got him limping, we've taken out all of the other monsters, and of course we're going to capture him to try and get some better rewards, but you know we're not going to, because when you do whenever you do quests with multiple monsters, the game has a tendency to fill out the reward box with just a bunch of random stuff. Like, it doesn't give you a lot of the one monster. It just gives you small amounts of each of the monsters that you've killed to max it out. So if you really want to farm a specific monster, it genuinely is a good idea to just fight that one specific monster, or at most with a second monster. But it's probably best to just do that one monster and use a voucher for it. This was a little bit shorter of a video because, like I said, I haven't really played too much Monster Hunter this week, but that, of course, is going to change next week with Kulve Taroth. So, as always, this is my guild card for the week. That background you get for doing the 50 arena quests, as you could see. I have done that now. And I've used a lot more Switch Axe and a lot more Sword and Shield. This, like, weapon info is starting to become a lot more fleshed out, and it's starting to show a lot more accurately what my favourite weapons are and are not. But yeah, I'll leave you with the rest of my guild card if you're so inclined. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.